Greetings and welcome to another Equity Guru Investor Roundtable. I'm Rob. I'm bringing my grade 6 haircut to the table. These guys are bringing knowledge and information. Well, actually, he's not, as I point to the other person in the basement, Chris Perry, under the weather. And he is actually legitimately under the weather, and we hope he's back very, very shortly. Faster the better. So he's represented by the delightful photograph. Galen, I'm not sure how he got permission to move to the penthouse, but he's up there.
I broke in.
What is happening? And Michelle is in the far corner. Gee, what do you know? Oil in Alberta. Oil in Alberta.
Nope.
It is InPlay Oil Corporation in Calgary under Douglas Bartoli, their CEO. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, fellas. This bugs me. Their symbol on the Toronto Exchange is IPO. I mean, come on. IPO. I don't want to confuse anybody. But anyway, like initial public offering, IPO.
Yep, all these financial terms.
That's their symbol. Couldn't they have picked,
anything else?
IPO.T, IPoil, IPI.
I like IPO.T. IPO.T. I like that
Something.
one. Yeah.
All right,
But in
anyway,
their defense, it's .to, so I guess they'll say that.
well, it's .to, but it's still IPO. All right, anyway, Michelle, you go. You're going to start us off with InPlay Oil.
Yeah, so InPlay Oil, as Rob mentioned, they are an oil producer. I would say, I guess, I don't necessarily want to say small cap, but I mean, when we're talking about oil, I guess around 199 million market cap is
Mid to
small
small
cap,
Yeah.
right? Compared to like gold mining, obviously, I guess we're talking about oil, so it's a bit different. So I guess it is a smaller oil play here, and they are located, of course, in Alberta in what they call the Cardium formation in West Central Alberta, and here are their three producing assets here: Pembina, Williston, and East Basin Duvernay. I believe that's how it's pronounced there. But recent news, they've actually acquired Prairie Storm Resources for about 25 cents per share. So it just basically increases their holdings now in this Cardium formation. And it's a company that's strengthening and it's growing. We'll talk about revenues because I'm sure Galen will probably mention that. But I think the interesting thing for this company is with oil prices rising, is this the company to maybe add to your portfolio? And I should quickly pedal back and mention that this is light crude oil that they do drill. So there's heavy oil, light oil, sour, and sweet. Makes oil very edible, I guess, or sound edible. But that's the terms we use: sour and sweet oil, and light and heavy. And of course, a lot of people know, the Alberta tar sands quite heavy oil. Like it takes, the more heavier it is, it takes a lot more money to actually refine it.
Yep.
I believe Venezuela is quite heavy oil as well, so it's quite expensive to refine it. And I think the Saudis are like right in the sweet spot. They're right in the middle.
No pun intended.
Where it's not too much to refine it. So obviously, you sort of like the light oil because it's cheaper to refine. And that's the type of oil that we're dealing here with InPlay Oil.
Interesting. Light oil, sweet and sour. It's nice with a little
dipping sauce.
Yeah,
exactly right. It makes it edible. Or sound edible.
Dumpling.
Yeah.
Dumpling.
There we go.
All right, what do we
pot
got?
sticker.
What do you got?
All right.
What are you thinking about this IPO that's not an IPO?
Well, in InPlay Oil, I like the concept. Not that I don't like explorers, but I really like to see that there's money being made rather than guys just stabbing drills into the ground and hoping to God that they're going to hit some formations that are going to produce some oil or gas. These guys, what they've done is they've gone in, they've got these fields in the Cardium formation that have already produced, that they've already been flooded. They're rich with an ability to get at the oil fairly easily as long as they're doing the horizontal drilling. Okay, this is the fracking bit that I'm not really all that good with. However, it does allow you to extract oil where you once were having to just leave it behind because you just couldn't get at it anymore. So these guys have actually got some good producing properties that they're attacking with horizontal drilling, and they're actually producing cash. They got 77 million in revenue in their last financial report. They've got about 214 million in assets. And basically, both the properties or the property packages they have in the Cardium formation, also in the Belly River formation, are all producing right now, and they can produce more. They're looking at this point to produce between, I think it was 8,000 and 9,000 barrels a day in 2022, which is like a 50% increase on the production they had during 21, where they generated $77 million worth of revenue in their last report. So there's going to be more money coming through the door. They figure that it's not going to be peak at this point. They still got a long way to go before they actually drain the resources that they're tapping into. And they also have new prospects. They also have an unexplored prospect in the properties that they have in, I'm trying to remember now the actual location. That would be
Williston?
No, that's Duvernay. They're Duvernay packages. Those right now, they're testing out. They're trying to find oil. So that's good, because if they do it, it's relatively virgin territory, and they've got a lot of pumping to do before they lose any resources in that regard. Long play, I don't know. I'm always a little bit sketchy on tapping existing wells. Yes, you can say that there's a whole bunch there, but you're really going on historical results. It could be that you've actually used it up and just didn't know it yet. But, whatever. They're producing revenues right now. So may or may not be a long play how you look at it. Look at me being all conflicting. The company itself, with oil being at $78 a barrel, it's well into profit taking at this point, or well in profit making margins. If I see oil slipping below $50 a barrel, then I'm probably going to look elsewhere, because in Canada you just can't make money that way. But if it stays up into these sweet spots, as it were, and again, no pun intended, this would be something that I wouldn't mind investing in, because they're well within their profit margins. It just depends on whether OPEC sees too much production coming out of North America and decides to drive down the prices, because in Saudi Arabia, they can make money at 25 a barrel. So they've got a lot of leeway before they start losing money.
Yep. And I think, that's sort of the play here. It's are we bullish on oil? But just before we talk about that, Galen, do you mention they have $214 million in assets?
Yes.
Okay, so right now their market cap on Yahoo Finance is just under 200 million. So technically they're trading cheaper than their the asset value. So we'll look at the charts we'll look at the charts right now, actually, to maybe show why I'm actually quite bullish. Technically. And then I guess we'll talk about oil afterwards, but let's just do a quick rundown here on IPO.
But also, if you're trading below your asset value, that's bonus, right?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, you want to,
it's a relative steal.
So, talking about oil, we all know about 2020 when oil prices, Galen, I think me and you back then, man, we did a show live.
Oh, yes, we watched oil go to zero.
Yeah, and I think I was sort of quiet there, because I'm like, oh, yeah, here you go, viewers. Or here's oil at 10 cents. And then I was quiet. Oh, holy crap, oil just went zero. So that was a crazy time in 2020. And I know, we were live streaming that. But basically, since then, I mean, this stock hit a low of 5 cents back in 2020 when oil dropped dramatically. 5 cents. And now we're trading at $2.31. So as these oil as oil recovered, a lot of these oil plays recovered as well. And I think we should mention here too, a lot of people talk about the bad balance sheets, right, that oil companies have. I think it's basically, maybe not Chevron, but pretty much every other oil company, large, small, has a pretty, they have a lot of debt, right? Because when oil prices did fall, you can't just basically stop producing because there's a lot of jobs at stake. So generally, a lot of these banks were pressured to loan a lot of money to oil companies to keep people employed, to keep pumping oil, even though they're technically losing money.
Oh my God, I have to correct myself, just so I don't sound really stupid. That's really selfish. They have 77 in liabilities.
Okay,
sorry,
yeah.
They made in revenue 756. 18, almost 19 million in revenue. Right. So I'll shut up now.
Okay. But I mean, well, you mentioned the liabilities. Like that's what, the debt is there. That's always going to be a thing with a lot of these large and small oil companies, except Chevron. I believe Chevron, the big boy Chevron has probably the best looking balance sheets out of the bunch there. But I mean,
well, exploration and production are expensive. It's a high cost industry.
It is. Yeah,
high capex,
exactly.
man.
They haven't paid their 70. They haven't. That's because Chevron hasn't paid their 70 billion in
taxes.
Legal
losses. Yeah, they've destroyed many countries and old indigenous people, like 30 billion. You know, it's ridiculous. Anyway, that's a whole different topic. Sorry, move on.
Maybe then we should do a show on Chevron.
They have no intention. They're going to do their best to never pay the money that they owe. Anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, it's probably, I guess, it's just what I'm seeing right now. I didn't know about the bills there that they are or that they owe, but just right now their balance sheet looks a bit better than ExxonMobil, which is the other large sort of oil company a lot of people talk about. But IPO, nice uptrend. You can't really deny that just on the chart. I just want to quickly draw these flag patterns because I know it's a pattern that we've talked about many times here on the Investor Roundtable. And, when it works, it works. And I think it's something to add to your toolkit if you are a technical trader. But I'll draw these out because we've had two flag patterns in a row. And really all a flag pattern is basically you have an uptrend and then the price just basically starts to consolidate. But instead of a range, which is, like a rectangle, we just range sort of sideways or sloped. And it creates this sort of flag pattern, which basically the uptrend here is your flag pole, and then you have the actual flag here. And, we've seen this on Tesla, actually, if you've looked at our last week's post on Equity.Guru. So this pattern shows up a lot, the flag pattern, flag pattern, and it's a popular one for traders, and I think it's one that is quite easy to see. And essentially, you have your flag and you just wait for that breakout, and once that breakout happens, you go long. Essentially, all a flag pattern is a little pause in an uptrend, and then you continue the uptrend, and then we have another nice flag pattern here recently, actually, which just broke out December 30th, so just a few weeks ago, or last week, sorry. And we continued higher. And now what I want to do is, let me just get rid of these flag patterns, but I want to show you guys something really interesting here, which has me excited. And that is the weekly chart of IPO. So we have to go long term. I mean, we talked about this. This was a stock trading in the thousands of dollars per share back in the day. If we zoom in to price action now, you can see here, and again, this is the weekly chart, so we're going back all the way to 2017, 2016 here. But I've drawn out this resistance area at around $2.25. We broke that last week, and actually just this week so far, we pulled back to retest that. So just a typical breakout, you break out, you pull back, it gives another opportunity for buyers to jump in if they are bullish the stock, which so far we are seeing buyers step in. But again, we're recording this on a Monday, so there's still 4 days of trading that can determine whether buyers will, continue buying the stock here and keep the price above 225, or if on Friday people aren't bullish IPO, we get a close back below 225 and we have a fake out. But as of now, we do have a breakout. And if we are assuming that the breakout will continue higher, what's the next price ceiling or resistance level? And I'm looking here to the left of my chart. I don't see much, folks. I don't see much. I see maybe $2.80 here, but really I think the big level here is now $3.50. So there's a big gap here between $3.50 up to $5. And I'm looking at $3.50. That's literally, it looks like that's where IPO is going to go. That's the next price ceiling level here, if IPO can remain above this 225 zone. So pretty exciting time if you are a shareholder here of IPO. And to determine whether we're going to see this continuation, let's take a look at the oil charts. And, so far, so good. We did break above $75 a barrel. Oil was looking a bit scary in November, but in December, we've sort of built a bit of a support here and bounced back above $75. You can see prices back above my moving average here, back above a resistance level here as well. And right now, I'm quite bullish on oil as long as we remain here above $74.20 25 cents, this sort of support zone that I've drawn out here. Actually, oil has been a pretty big Equity Guru win for us, because we've had a couple of posts on Market Moment about oil, and so far so good. And a lot of banks are predicting $100 per barrel oil. Actually, I believe it was JP Morgan just today said, no, it's not $100. It's going to be $125 a barrel of oil by the end of this year, which it is a bit scary, because it means we're probably going to pay a lot for transport, but also for food, which is, transported by trucks and stuff, and energy costs have to be accounted for. Maybe, the whole inflation story.
Yeah.
But inflation, that's the other word. And I think commodities do quite well in an inflationary period. And why not oil? So I'm actually still bullish oil. Galen, maybe you want to talk a little bit about the whole situation there with OPEC Plus, but oil is very much geopolitical. We've heard President Biden and a few other countries wanted to bring down the price of oil just, I think, late last year, and they sold off reserves to try to increase the supply. They wanted OPEC Plus, mainly Saudi Arabia and Russia, who sort of run that to, maybe increase production to try to bring the price of oil a bit lower. But basically, some countries like Russia and Iran don't really want to, help the Biden administration out for obvious reasons. And the Saudis probably want oil to go higher. So a lot of geopolitics involved, but I think if you're looking at the inflation play and the inflation story, you want to be long commodities, and I think oil will benefit. And I think if oil goes higher, so will IPO, and so will a bunch of other oil companies in general.
By the way, just one note. You mentioned this was being recorded on a Monday. The first time people will have an opportunity to see this is just one day later.
Okay.
So this will be a Tuesday. This is fresh, like less than 24. Shoot, like 16 hours.
So, I'm already losing track of the time, man. It's only Monday.
Yeah. It just depends on when you see it, but you could be seeing it on a Tuesday. Any thoughts, Mr. Galen, before we get your cash tossing?
Well, as Vishal had mentioned, we are at the mercy of OPEC and what they feel is going to be the price mark of the barrel. And also the fact that if it's going to hit 125, as it's been stated by some analysts, then we're really going to be in a shitstorm elsewhere.
Yep.
Inflation is going to be up through the roof and all sorts of things. So, holy crap. Now, what I would like to talk about is actually, let's get the financials correct for this company so it's not a big embarrassment for me. Basically, they have 214 in assets, about 70 million in liabilities, and then about 76 in decommissioning obligations and stuff. So it comes up to about 176 in total liabilities. Okay. So they're pretty well breaking even on the balance sheet that way. Now, they did make 18 million in revenue in the last quarter, but they were also net loss of $7 million. Right. Now, if they improve their production by 50%, we could see that halved. And if price of oil goes up, we could see them pushing north of that. So really what they need to do to start making like a going concern happen and having a black bottom line, as it were, they will have to increase their resources and start finding more oil. So that's the big hinger on them being a moneymaker. So
and the recent acquisition, I guess, plays to that.
The recent acquisition does play to that, but again, it's perspective until they actually pull that oil out of the ground, right? Yeah. So if they can double basically what they're doing, let's say 75%. They can bring it to 75 to 85 or 85% of what they've been doing right now, then yeah, they're going to be in a cash positive situation. And that would be really, the best environment. Yep. At this point, even though you're buying in sort of into an industry that's seeing a big bump and that kind of stuff, you're in a company that's still not making money. So it'd be nice to see them push that. Yep. So am I going to put my money in?
Yes, that's the question. You can roll.
Well, you know what? It's better than going to an Explorer that's not making anything at all.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell you what, I'll get 2K in to get my feet wet, and I would say in about 6 months' time, I'd re-examine to see what their production numbers were, and if by the second half of this new year they've really pushed it to 50%, then I can see and their exploration's going well. or they've managed to find more resources,
Mhm.
then if I see that, then yeah, sure, I'll put another 2 or 3K into it.
Yeah.
Because as far as the industry is concerned, for a producer, it's fairly well priced, and his assets are above what it's trading at right now.
Yep,
So
exactly.
there
I
you
think
go.
that's a key point.
2K right
That's a
off
key
the
point.
bat.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
Michelle,
I'm going 3K. I'm going 3K, Rob, and a lot of similar things that Galen mentioned there. But my approach is because it's correlated to the price of oil. So as we talked about, a lot of these gold miners are also correlated with gold. So obviously, you want to look for some better companies, but in the gold space, if there's a nice discovery or companies are already drilling or mining, that's an added bonus. These guys are already, as Galen mentioned, producing oil. And obviously the stock is correlated with the price of oil. And if you're someone like me who thinks oil prices are going to, be rising higher, and obviously if for the whole inflation trade, right, the inflation trade going into commodities, I think it's important to have an oil position in your portfolio. If you don't want IPO, then I would say look at something like XLE. And there's a whole bunch of other Canadian ETFs for energy. I mean, the TSX is like 70% oil or energy companies, right? So there's a lot of picks there. But I'm going 3K. I like it because it's correlated with oil, as I mentioned as well. That weekly breakout here is very enticing here. I'm quite excited by that breakout. And 3K in IPO.
Now,
right.
just so you know, Chris is incredibly bullish about oil, and since he isn't here to question
I
that,
should probably mention that. Yeah.
he's going to dump everything in
Okay.
because it isn't his
Well,
money anyway.
I was going to say, I was just looking over there, and
Yeah,
he looks happy. But
he's
I was
very
gonna say, why don't
happy,
we just-
and he just threw it all in.
He can't-
7,500.
Since he can't do it, how about we ask Prince Rupert, the guy over Vishal's shoulder, how much he'd throw in there?
Ah, yes. What do you think there, dude?
What is that?
I think he's putting in 6,900.
6,900? That's only if he wins the revolution? All right.
And I was just going to make a wisecrack about the bedroom and what people see when they come back to Vishal's pad, and he's throwing out 6,900. Well,
Actually, I'm going to change it. I'm going to go 4,200, the other main number.
All right. Chris is finally
Sorry,
settled on 4,200. There we go.
Thanks. What's his name? What's his name again? The guy you hate? Okay.
Is that Napoleon?
No.
Elon
it's
Musk?
Oh, yeah. I hate Musk. I hate
Yeah.
him. Hate him.
4,200.
Yep.
All right, there you go, folks. Holy smokes. We got 6,900 from the Prince. We've got the whole shebang from Chris. Neither one of these individuals
Hey,
able
Rob,
to
how about
actually
you, man?
speak for
Are you bullish
themselves.
oil?
And I'll throw a little in there, actually.
Oh, there you go.
By the way, Galen, where's Galen? Oh,
Yeah,
you're up there.
right up here. Sorry. Hi.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not making enough noise.
Nicely done.
Thank
now
you.
can't we can't guarantee anything that he said. Definitely not anything.
Oh,
that
you
he
sure
said.
can't. Holy
And for
crap.
sure nothing that he said. And also, past performance does not guarantee future results. So do your own homework, people. We cannot promise you anything. There's your disclaimer. Go do your own homework and all that good stuff before you invest. And we wish you the best. And we'll see you on the next Equity Guru Investor Roundtable.